My name is Dr. Khawaja Azimuddin, and I am a colon and rectal surgeon here in Houston, Texas. I invite you to read my story, The Boy Refugee, a memoir from a long forgotten war. The story is about my childhood in the aftermath of the 1971 war between India and Pakistan that resulted in creation of Bangladesh. After the war, we became refugees and spent almost 2 years in a POW camp. The story chronicles my escape from a war-ravaged Bangladesh to an internment camp, a barbed-wire internment camp in the foothills of the Himalayas in India. And then my 2-year stay and my day-to-day life, and then my journey back to Pakistan. This is my story, and I invite you to read it.
The Boy Refugee, a memoir from a long forgotten war. Chapter 10. The long journey begins. As morning came, there was quite a bit of hustle and bustle in the Kilo camp. I saw a long line of Indian army trucks approaching our camp. An Indian army officer spoke on a horn loudspeaker and instructed us to come out with our luggage. So we gathered our belongings and lined up next to the trucks. The smell of the diesel fumes from the big trucks was nauseating, but at least the heat from the engines provided us with some welcome warmth in the cold December weather. Very systematically, the Red Cross started loading us into the trucks. No one knew where we were going, but we were glad to be going somewhere, maybe to Pakistan. Our turn came late in the morning. My family took our belongings and climbed into the back of the big green military truck. We sat on the benches on either side, while some people sat on the truck bed. We rode in the truck for 2 hours until we reached the port of Narayanganj. We disembarked from the trucks and were instructed to walk over to the docks. It was very chaotic, and it seemed like thousands of people were coming from everywhere at once. There were lots and lots of people, but no one was making eye contact, and everyone seemed to be in their own world like a bunch of scared zombies. We were all walking as fast as we could, and a few people stumbled and fell too. Some people were old and infirm. Some were young and energetic. There were lots of women and children in the crowd. The refugees were carrying everything they possibly could bring with them. Some had suitcases or cane baskets. Others carried sacks, bags, buckets, cooking pots, and everything imaginable. Some had simply tied their belongings into a cloth bundle which they carried on their backs. An old steamboat was waiting for us at the Narayanganj port. We all lined up in small groups, and the lengthy process of counting, registration, and recounting began. At last, the formalities were completed, and we boarded the paddle steamer in the late afternoon. It was a large flat-bottom boat with small compartments on both the upper and lower decks, and large open floor spaces with numerous wooden benches on the deck. Though the old rocket steamer had a capacity of around 600 or so people, nearly 1,000 refugees were crammed into its decks and cabins. By the time we got on the boat, most of the space was already taken. My family found a covered area on the upper deck under the smokestacks and huddled together. It was very comforting to be close to my family, all 5 of us together. Just after sundown, the big paddle wheels of the steamboat started to turn. The steamer let out a bellowing horn and pulled away from the docks into the choppy waters. As the steamer started picking up speed, the wind took its cue and blew fiercely on our faces. It was very gusty, and sitting on the deck, we were completely exposed to the elements. Soon night fell and we were sailing down the river Meghna. It was a stormy night. The steamer churned, listed, and groaned under the weight of its passengers. With every strong crosswind, the steamer lurched dangerously. The moon was full, causing the tidal Meghna River to toss the steamboat up and down on the currents. No one could sleep that night, and we feared that the overburdened ship would sink.